Well, good morning, everybody. Morning. All nice and refreshed after getting all that download yesterday, and your spirit just, your body and soul just resting, your spirit going to heaven last time while you were sleeping. Oh, well, it's been great. Man, I just feel so full, and yet we got a whole nother day here to get some more. It's awesome. I forgot to bring this yesterday, and so I wanted to do it for you all. As our group, as our ecclesia, we go into heaven, like Mike was teaching us yesterday how to go into heaven kind of on an individual basis, which is awesome and is great. Everybody needs to do it. But as he's going to explain later on today, all this stuff that we're learning, all the stuff like Ian's teaching, all the stuff, this stream, I guess if you want to call it, that's teaching, it's unto something. It's to be government in the earth. And that's what it's all about. So we are learning how to engage corporately as an ecclesia, go in together and see things and get things that God wants us to do, to have jobs to do. He gives us assignments, and we do it together as an ecclesia. Well, one of the things in our engagements in heaven, we have discovered that, and again, I say it's discovering because that's what it is. We're mapping it out. Our ecclesia has a mountain. And in our ecclesia mountain, we have a council chamber. And we go as a group and sit around that council table, and God gives us things there. We've had men in white linen show up. The Father showed up. Jesus has showed up. It's just been incredible. Some of those ancient ones have showed up, and they give us things, and it's just mind-blowing. And we coined this little term when we come out of it. It's one of our guys, Joe. He's not here right now, but we come out of it, and we shake our heads, and we go, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, even if you watch all the sci-fi films and all of that stuff, and you have a grid and all, it's like every time it's different, it's unique. We're not making it happen. We go in, because Mike's taught us so clearly how to go in, let Jesus take you by the hand and lead you in. Well, one day we showed up at our council table. We have a council table in our council chamber, and at everybody's place was a little bell. And what the Lord told us, part of our blueprint is to send a sound out. And that's a sound to call people in, but it's also a sound to transform creation. Creation is waiting for the sons of God to be manifest, to free it from bondage of corruption. That even creation itself, the trees, the ground, the earth, people, everything, animals are all waiting for the sons of God to be revealed. And we each got a bell. And what it is, it's a call to service. It's a call to step up and say, I take responsibility. Just like Jesus did before the foundation of the world. He stood before the Father and he said, I will go. I'll be the lamb that was slain. I'll take responsibility for all of creation, for this whole thing that's going to happen. Hadn't even happened yet. Well, Mike will tell the story. That was a transitioning point in his church as they were coming into this, where they stood as a group and they said, we're here for you, speaking out into the surrounding area, and there was things that happened when you guys did that. So this was that kind of event as a group, that we are sending out that call to service, but it's because we're here for everybody else. We're here to free creation. It's not just about us. Oh wow, there's a cool new revelation. We're learning how to do this. I can go to heaven. I can do this. It's for a reason. It's for government. It's to establish God's government and His kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. And that's what this is all about. So I had to bring the bell and ring it for you. So you guys hear that sound because it's a frequency that's not only, just a little bell, a little, desk bell. It's a frequency in the realm of heaven that goes out. So you guys heard the sound, now you're infected. We are going to try to squeeze in a couple of sessions here this morning, and we'll take a short break for lunch, and then we'll come back and hopefully have 2 more sessions in the afternoon. Sometime in one of the times where you're going out, if you guys want to go out and pick up some food and stuff, because we're going to have this pot bless where everybody will meet sometime between 4 or 5. The ladies are going to help, everybody's going to help, we're all going to share. I know if some of you are from out of town, go get a bucket of chicken, go get, do something, just everybody share a little bit, and then we can all sit and break bread together, eat together, have that koinonia together. It's just, anytime you break bread with somebody, it's just something about the relationship that just changes. It's awesome. So that's why we really wanted to have that here today. And again, on the offerings, you can give offerings to Voice of Hope, which is a 501c3, so you'll be able to get a tax deduction for it. And we had a problem with our credit card deal yesterday, but we got that fixed. So if you want to give by credit card, see Joe over here. You can do it that way and get your air miles and all that. We try to take advantage of everything we can. So, and our idea is, all the funds that are coming in, obviously first we have to take care of our responsibility, which is the place. And I just want to let you know we've already done that. So thank you all for your work. Now we're into abundance where we can bless Mike and bless those that helped and store some up for things that we're doing in the future. I'll let you all know right now we're going to have Justin Abraham here in September. Now, and Justin, not that we're blowing our own whistle, but Justin does not go everywhere. No. If you try to get him to come, he'll say, I only go where Papa tells me to go. And he said, Papa told me to come and strengthen the brethren there. So that's why he's coming in September. So we'll be putting all that on the website. So anyway.
Is there any dates in September?
Yes, it's, oh boy, I don't have my calendar.
I think it's the 18th and 19th.
No, I think it's the 15th, 16th.
Okay.
It's the 15th, 16th. Again, it's a Tuesday, Wednesday kind of thing. So, yeah, so he'll be coming. And, well, Mike, again, we give you all, we open it up and just give you full authority to speak whatever you want, and release whatever you want to. So, bless you.
Who wasn't here yesterday? Okay. Good luck. We did 6 sessions yesterday. Hopefully you'll be able to listen to it again before future, so you can pick up what we did. I sort of tried to set a little bit of a foundation for what we're going to do today. But hopefully you'll be able to participate and join in with it. As we look to engage in some of the practicalities is what we're called to do. Right, well, we talked a lot about the job generation and God raising up a generation of people who will equip and train and mentor a generation that's to come, and they're forerunners of this heavenly royal priesthood to prepare the next generation to embrace their inheritance. They're operating according to the order of Melchizedek, which we looked at yesterday briefly. And God is looking for heavenly positions of government. Peter is talking about bringing them the kingdom, because that's what king out of an intimacy and relationship. So I talking a lot about government, but actually the key foundation of that is relationship, intimacy with Him. And I've not got time to go into all the teaching I've done on that, but I've got extensive teaching on relationship and intimacy with God and how that brings transformation from a position of being engaged with God on the inside of us, within the garden of our heart, within our spirit, and that stuff. So the order of Melchizedek, Hebrews 6:19. Jesus has entered as a forerunner for us, and he's entered within the veil. That means he's gone into the realm of heaven because the veil is torn, having become a high priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. So the order of Melchizedek is how God's government functions. And Hebrews 10:19, we can enter the holy place by the blood of Jesus through a new and living way, which he inaugurated for us through the veil. Then we can draw near. We can come through the veil, through the way he's opened, so that we also can come into that place where God brings his government through us. Because we're actually in a better covenant. Yeah, you don't want anything to do with old covenant things. Because old covenant things is now obsolete and ended from God's perspective. So if you're trying to do things from the old covenant way, God's not in it. Because it's ended. The new covenant is really a heavenly order for all of us. Not just for special people, everybody is called to go into that realm where we can engage with God in our sonship to work out our destiny with him.
Amen.
How? That's the $100 question. How do you actually do it? Well, it's a process. It's not just an event. You have many experiences and many encounters and many stepping stones of engagement so that you learn to draw from God's presence and his experience being there to change you. Because the process is transformational. You know, we can never stay the same. If there's no end to the increase of his government, then there can be no end to the increase of our being transformed into his image. Amen. One degree of glory after another, step by step by step by step, day after day. As we engage, and as we surrender to him day after day, he will continually begin to change and transform us. And as we take communion every day, he will begin to change us from a genetic thing as well. So it's every level. So when I first began to engage in heaven and God began to show me what I need to do to find what his will is every day, then he took me on a journey in the process. And Romans 12:1 and 2 is really where it started. Therefore I urge you, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living and holy sacrifice. That's the people in form of government. That sacrifice is always acceptable to God. When you give him as he's given us his life, then we enter into all the blessings that his life, his death on the cross and everything else accomplished for us. But we have to give ourselves into it. And that is our spiritual service of worship. And the spiritual side of it is the key, because this is not something that's done in the flesh. It's not something that's done in this realm. It's done in the realm where we go into the spiritual realm. And service and worship are the same word. So our ministry is another word. How we worship God is to present ourselves to him so he can use us, to bring his glory and to outwork our destiny. Because what he's called us to do in our destiny, which was agreed before the foundation of the world, brings us into the part we play in establishing his grand blueprint for the whole creation. So it's wonderful to think that he's chosen each of us to have a part to play. And he's chosen people today and called them for a time such as this. You know, be thankful you weren't born in the Middle Ages. So you're to complete the job, which is really exciting, because we get to cross the finishing line, finish the race. And all the cloud of witnesses are all there waiting to pass the baton and say, go for it. Because they've run their leg of the race. And each one of them is not just given up and gone back. What happens when someone runs a relay race? They stay on to cheer on the next runner. And then the next runner joins with them, and they cheer on the next runner until the last runner on the last leg crosses the line to win the race. So there's a lot resting on us, because God's called us for a time such as this. But we need to be changed. And it says, do not be conformed to this world. And another version says, do not be pressed into the world's mold. The world is shaped to you according to its image, and that's through many different ways that God wants you to be transformed, changed, transfigured, metamorphosed, is what the word actually means. So God does not want you to be caterpillars crawling around the earth. He wants you to be butterflies, flying, soaring. Another version of it is like, you don't want you to be chickens pecking at the ground with your wings clipped. He wants you to be eagles that soar. So God wants to take us into a whole new realm. And he does that by renewing of your mind. Now, years ago, when I understood this scripture, I only had a grid of reference for it to renew my mind by getting the scripture, start speaking it out, stick it up in my mirror. So I looked at it, and God honored that, to a degree, which was great. And I learned things, and that changed how I thought, and I aligned myself with God's word, and faith arose from doing that. I believe and I have strong faith, but actually, to renew our mind into the image he wants us to, we need to look at that image. And that's why we can go back and look at how he sees us. So we see our identity from his perspective. We see what his original purpose for us was. When we look into our scroll of destiny that he's written, that book, according to Psalm 139, which is there, which is all the days that are ordained for us, before ever one occurred, are released. Now, that scroll and that book does not give you every detail of your life. So it's not going to tell you what socks to wear, or what shirt color to wear, or what hair color you have to do. It's not that. It's about how you can follow a journey of relationship with him that enables you to fulfill your purpose and his purpose. And as you mature in that, he gives you more and more freedom to be creative. So he says, I want you to get to this point, and I want you to outwork this purpose. And he says, and go and do it however you like. Now, that's a large degree of trust, which is why we need the transformation. Because the proportion, the sort of level of government that we have, and authority that we bring is proportional to the holiness that's at work from the righteousness of who we are. So God is not going to give a machine gun to a baby.
Right.
He won't. Except in Texas, apparently. Sorry for all those. There was a joke about the Texas lady about this. And she sort of said, not even in Texas. But I translated it all maybe. But God won't give us more authority than we can handle a maturity of our character.
Right.
So our character needs to progress and grow as well as the gifts and the understanding of what we have. So this process is one of transformation. And God will want to show us why, so we can prove what is the will of God. So we can experience and understand the will of God for our lives, which is always going to be good, acceptable, and perfect to our spirit. It may not be so good, acceptable, and perfect. So the soul is the area where transformation takes place to bring us into alignment with what our spirit thinks is wonderful, but our soul sometimes doesn't think it's so wonderful, because the soul is what's been pressed into other molds, and often is damaged and is fractured or back into our spirit. Soul can be completely aligned. When you get to that point, it's just wonderful. More and more whole.
Amen.
And I think just at one. So I find leads me to do things, cognitively aware of making a choice. Operating in tongues a lot. And I do other things that I never decided to do. I just do them, I just know and breathe. which has taken me a fair while. And I went through this process. And when I started to do this, I did a 20-part series called Transformation, which went in depth through all the different layers of transformation that need to take place to bring you into that place. Now, I'm going to move on quickly, otherwise I'm going to get stuck here. I got stuck on a session called Alice, just on the process. But ultimately, what was the sacrifice? Well, they sacrificed a lamb or a ram. How did they do it? And when I first started teaching, it was like, what's the big glory? And then there was the lady called Val. She said, I come from a farm stock. This is great. Exodus 29:16 says, you shall kill the ram, and you shall cut the ram in pieces and wash its entrails. So it's all opened up. And they chopped off the legs, and then they put them with its pieces with the head, which was chopped off, on the altar. So there's a whole lot of chopping going on, a whole lot of dismembering, because it was bringing the whole thing into the light. They even split the thing open, the very backbone was revealed with a special knife to reveal the marrow. So it was really dead, and we need to embrace the cross. I have been crucified with Christ, it's no longer I who lives. Right. I deny myself, take up the cross and follow him. So as in here, we need to surrender to allow him to do what he needs to do. The head was chopped off, they skinned it, they split it open down to the bone, they washed the inner organs, they cut off the legs. So by faith, I can enter the holy place, which it says we can enter, which is the tabernacle. The earthly tabernacle was patterned after a heavenly tabernacle, and the whole heaven is actually patterned after the tabernacle, because there's an outer, inner, and a holy of holies within heaven. So we present ourselves to Jesus, who's the high priest. Fortunately, we do not have to do any of the killing, chopping, and dismembering ourselves. We just give him the raw material. So as we give him our life, we provide the sacrifice, he provides whatever needs to be done to prepare that sacrifice. So every day, I present myself as a living sacrifice, and I ask God, remove anything from me today that's going to be a hindrance to outworking your will and purpose, my destiny and mandate today. And some days, there isn't anything, because I've gone through this process an awful lot. And some days, he'll stop me, and he'll show me something that enables me to deal with that, so it's not an obstacle to my day. So I'm always open, and this is a proactive process. If you allow it to be a reactive process, then God will begin to squeeze, because he wants us to come into alignment with his will and purpose, and he uses some trials and troubles and tribulations to try and help us to see where we are, so that that process gets worked. But if we cooperate and surrender every day, it's a lot easier, much easier. I'd much rather fall on the rock than the rock fall on me. So literally, the cup was broken, they drained the blood. It was dead. So we have to deny ourselves. If we're going to operate in the flesh and out of our own understanding, then we're never going to be operating in the fullness of God's government. Luke 9:23. If anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross daily, follow me. Whoever wishes to save his life will lose it. So the best way of having the fullness of salvation is to lose and give. Whoever wishes to lose his life, for my sake, he's the one who will save it. So if we give our lives to God, then he will give us everything we need in this process. So they stripped off the skin. You really have to allow God to remove all the layers that you built up, which have protected yourself and enabled you to cope with life. Without them, we would find it very difficult to live in the world. But when we come into God's presence and into the kingdom, those levels of layers of skin that we built up need to be removed. So we need to be able to stand transparent before Him, naked. Now, some of you will think, I would want God to see me naked. I don't even like looking myself naked. But the reality is, God knows everything about you anyway. He loves you anyway, but He loves you too much to allow you to stay the same.
Right. Amen.
You come in completely unconditional. His love's unconditional always, and He'll never love you any more than He loves you now. And there's nothing that you can do to make Him love you less. and there's nothing you can do to make him love you more. So it's completely unconditional, but his desire of that love is so much that he wants you to be conformed to his image so that you get the fullness of your life in him. So be willing to allow those layers to be pulled off. Coping mechanisms, mindsets, belief systems that have protected us but now are hindering us because they become filters to stop us going into what he wants. So no self-righteousness. We have to admit that we've got nothing in ourselves. Jesus said the flesh profits nothing. And that's not easy for the soul to take. Because there is a way it seems right to a man in Proverbs, but the ways are the ends of death. Our way will always get us in trouble. So whenever I've done things in my own strength, I've found the end results are not too good, either for me or somebody else. So I need to let go of those things and seek first the kingdom. I don't need to look after myself and protect myself because my protection's in him. And when I learn to step into him and be baptized into him, Father, Son, and Spirit, you find that you have the armor of light, the armor of righteousness, and the armor of God on you. Well, nothing can get through that, so you don't need your own protection. But if you're not in him, you're on your own, standing apart from his provision and blessing for us. So you don't need to try and make your own provision. You can trust him for his provision to be released, which he will always do. Because according to 2 Corinthians 9:8, there's always enough in every situation of his grace for all your needs and in abundance for every good deed. So God will give you all that you need, not all you want. Because what you want may not be what you need. So he knows exactly what we need, and he'll release to us what we need. Amen. So that we can outwork everything, and there'll always be enough for all the things he calls us to do. So we have been programmed by the world. Nature, DNA program. You carry the record of your parents and their parents and their parents as far back as it goes, which goes right back to Adam. So there was an awful lot of things that happened in genetic programming in the past, before the flood, that can be present in our DNA. So we must be open to how the things that are triggered in our DNA can be transformed and removed. And years ago, scientists would say, well, DNA and genetic material can only be changed over millions and millions of years. Well, they've actually now discovered through a branch of genetics called epigenetics that DNA triggers and switches can be changed within 1 generation. And now they've discovered that they've caught up with the Bible. Because the sins of the father get visited on 3rd, 4th generation. 1 generation can actually transfer that to the next, genetically. So, I've got lots of stories of this because I've seen this within our rehab centers and things, how triggers in people's DNA get switched on and brings them into alcoholism and other things, because it was passed on from the previous generation. And even though they hated alcohol, they saw what it did to their family, they end up, when an environmental trigger comes, they turn to alcohol. They're like, how did I ever get to this? Because it's genetically programmed. But of course, we can get it genetically unprogrammed, which is good news. Then there's nurture. Your environmental programming, how you've been brought up by your parents and significant others, the things they've said to you, the things that have happened to you in your life, are very strong influences on you. And the way you think about yourself often comes from what other people say. And sometimes, if you've got good Christian godly parents who've spoken real truth into you, really be thankful. Because that is a good head start when it comes to accepting who you are in God. Now, no parent is perfect. So we've probably all got parent issues. And I share my issues with my father in my testimony. But I have a lot of issues that how I saw myself came out of what I was told and what I'd experienced. And therefore we get hurt and damaged by life because we're looking to receive everything from the outside in. So our acceptance, love, approval, significance comes from everything we see and do in the world. And because it's supposed to come from the inside, from God, to give us total security, we end up very insecure and we get hurt and damaged. Because the world is never going to meet the needs that God was only intended to meet. Right. So whether you look for that in relationships with others, jobs, security, money, finances, power, position, success, all those things the world will offer you, but generally they will never satisfy you and they'll always leave you empty, so that you need to draw from God. So we need to make sure that those nurture things get renewed and changed. When we come into a relationship with God, He starts to bring us into the revelation of who we are in Him. But there are also some pretty heavy trauma things that have helped shape us. Experiential programming, where traumatic situations in our life form neural pathways to those memories quickly, and sometimes really instantly, and actually they shape us. And therefore fear can be a huge influence in our life through our experiences. But God wants to set us free because perfect love casts out all fear. So I haven't got time to go into this. I go into this in great depth in the Transformation series. There are often soul ties that we have that draw us to engage from the outside in. And we need to have those things separate. Now, the soul will always block the flow in the spirit because it's fearful of exposure. And so when we first started going in heaven, sometimes our soul just gets in the way. We find it difficult, it's awkward, sometimes it's like, whoa, this is a bit too much. You know, but as we are transformed, our life takes on a whole new way of living, so it's easier. Dethronement of the soul, self, old life is a key to encountering heaven, because you're not going in the power of the Spirit. Those that do go in the power of the Spirit are trying to go in a different route, which Jesus said is illegitimate. You have to go through the door, which is Jesus. Hebrews 4:12 is a scripture that I use in this process a lot, and this is the Amplified version. For the word that God speaks is alive, full of power, and I'm not just talking about the Bible, I'm talking about the word that God speaks to us. His living word that is itself, Jesus, the living word. It's full of power, making it active, operative, energizing, and effective. It is sharper than any two-edged sword, penetrating the dividing line of breath and soul, mortal spirit, joints and marrow, the deepest parts of our nature, exposing and sifting and analyzing and judging the very thoughts and purposes of our heart. So it's not enough just to deal with the surface issues. We have to be open. So they split the whole sacrifice open to reveal all the inward parts, right down to the revealing of marrow. So right down to the source of life, because the marrow produces the blood, the life of the flesh is in the blood. So what programs the blood, programs the rest of the body. So when you have a marrow transplant, a bone marrow transplant, you actually have new DNA. Your blood is different from your body. Through bone marrow transplant, from the real source of life, we can actually reprogram and resequence our whole body. We need to be open for God to reveal the inward parts, our emotions, our heart and subconscious mind. Because that's where all the programming issues are, where all the memories are stored, where all the hurts are stored. We need to allow Him to heal us and remove the roots and the seeds of offense that are in us that create roots of bitterness and fruits of resentment. And that's often what people see. They see the surface stuff that's there because of the seeds that have gone in that have created roots. But if we try and keep cutting the fruit down on the surface, all it will do is grow back up. It's like pruning it. So we must deal with the seed. And if you remove the seed of offense, then there is no reason for a root of bitterness to form, and then the fruit will not be there because there's no seed continuing producing roots. So our spirit needs to be separated from the soul parts. Now, each plate does a big teaching on this, which I think sometimes people get confused. Well, why would I want to separate my soul and spirit? You don't. You just want to sever any connections which are unhealthy. You want to reintegrate completely your soul and spirit. So it's a daily choice for me. I choose to engage my spirit and let my spirit engage my soul, not the other way around. I don't want my soul trying to operate independently of my spirit, therefore doing its own thing. It's called lawlessness. And God wants to remove lawlessness from us, so we do His thing, which will always bring us blessing, and will always have provision attached to it. Our thing doesn't often do that, so we need to just make sure where we're motivated. So this really comes into the whole issue of trading, negative trading, where we trade, our soul takes things from the enemy to meet its needs rather than getting its needs met with God, and that can motivate us to do certain things that we don't really want to do. When I went through this process, I went through training course in my life in 3 weeks, which was my own fault because God had been asking me to do it for 9 months, and I was putting it off because I didn't really fancy what was going to come up. So then he said to me very clearly, "You're teaching this in 3 weeks, and you can't teach it without having done it." So 3 weeks was really hard. Because I had to honestly look at the motivation of my heart. And I saw, and some of it wasn't what was operating now, because I've done a lot of repentance and things in my life, but I had to see where I had operated in the wrong motives, and where, I'd used certain things, and I can't go into it. We've got some good articles on our blog site about it, and I did 2 sessions in the transformation series that go into it in detail. Actually, I can't remember any of the things now because God expunged them from my memory. So when I dealt with it, He